Welcome in to another FFPC Weekly Preview Show, Week 6. Terp coming off the Phillies advancing to the NLCS. I'm prepping for my Yankees Game 3, but we're not here to talk about baseball for you guys. We're repping our baseball teams, but that's not what the people are here for. We are recording this, though, Saturday afternoon. We've been busy, so we weren't able to do it during the week because we got a couple of comments about how players that we had picked got ruled out later, and yet I'm like, nope, it's when we recorded. So we are recording on Saturday afternoon, early night. Terp, we're going to jump right into it, just kind of like we did last week. Friends don't let friends start. Who is the guy that you're fading this week?
This is an easy one for me. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Eagles, Cowboys. It's what the blood's flowing already after the big Phillies win. My guy is Dalton Schultz. Do not see it coming. No injury designation this week. I think the Eagles are going to beat the piss out of the Cowboys. And I don't see Dalton Schultz doing anything.
Really? You are?
I'm not a super rush believer. Eagles have the best offensive line in football. Is Parsons and the boys tough? Of course they are. But that crowd coming off these two games, we will be electric in that place.
You're telling me that you think the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys? Really? Well, I don't know what gave it away. No. Terp, you took the words right out of my mouth. My friend don't let friends start of the week, CeeDee Lamb.
It was back and forth. It was one.
Darius Slay. This is as much as Darius Slay, James Bradbury as lockdown corners who have had a great year, and the defense. It's just as much that as it also is. Cooper Rush is fun and all. He's not a good quarterback. I know he's had a couple of okay weeks. Last week he really didn't do much. That offense is going to go absolutely nowhere. I want absolutely nothing to do with it.
Let's go.
CeeDee Lamb, I understand the target share and the amount of yards. Like
he's also banged up too. I mean, He popped up on the injury report on Friday. So that's something to watch. I mean, I think he's going to be out there. I would be shocked if he wasn't out there. If he's not out there, it's going to make the offense even worse. But if he's, once he gets hit a couple times, he might be like, sitting on that sideline a little extra. So I'm with you. Love both.
I'm completely off on the Cowboys. If Dak was starting, his first game back, still a little bit sus. I do think Dak comes back. I think CD had some good weeks with Cooper Rush. I think his stock we talked about, I remember week 2.
But his ceiling's only so high, like you just said.
Yeah.
Like Cooper Rush's CeeDee Lamb's not winning you.
My point is CeeDee's going to be fine for the year, which was an initial concern when Dak went out. And even after that week 1, I think CD, he kind of eased those fears. But this week, it's completely stay away. No trust at all. Terp, next up, I want your 2 touchdown guarantee, a player who's going to score 2 touchdowns this week.
This is a little bit of an easy one, but a guy that's in a perfect spot this week. Eno Benjamin versus Seattle. No James Conner, no Darrell Williams, pretty much unknowns behind him. I expect 20-plus carries, a big number. I mean, should be started in every FFPC lineups, but I just feel like you're not going to get a better matchup than this. Eno Benjamin, I wouldn't be surprised if he scores 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to go with an even easier one. I don't think any of us, to expose ourselves, have not gotten a single 2 touchdown guarantee, right? We've gotten a lot of 1 touchdowns, as I said last week. I'm going to go with the easy lob ball. Mike Evans. Steelers don't have the Minka Fitzpatrick out. All 3 starting cornerbacks out. That's Brady's guy in the red zone. Brady's going to torch that Steelers secondary. That game is going to be a rout. There's nothing more that needs to be said. Mike Evans is going to have 2. Like a guy who multiple games each year is going to have multiple touchdowns. This is going to be one of them. Mike Evans.
It's a blow-up spot for Tampa Bay.
Lock it in. A cheeky one there too that I could have even thrown at you is Godwin. Really, any Tampa Bay.
Stay tuned.
Oh, and I will stay tuned. It is as we roll on. You all must have forgot Terp. Usually a player outside the top 35 in their FFPC projected points, who we think is due for a big week. Obviously, as I always preface this with, quarterback and tight end, it's a little bit different in terms of the ranking. But Terp, you all must have forgot.
This is a guy that I'm this week very, very high on, especially with, bye week starting to come in here. St. Brown, the Lions, some other teams that are off. Obviously, the game of the week over Dallas and the Eagles is Bills versus Chiefs. That game should be up and back. I expect the Bills to do very, very well and win the game, but my guy is MVS. Starting to get a little bit familiar with the offense. Everybody sees what Juju is. We've said since the beginning, Juju is a dust bucket. He's not good. He brings nothing to the offense. MVS, I feel like breaks loose for a long one. starts, getting more targets as you see him, get more familiar with Mahomes. I expect a big week from MBS.
Put aside your fandom. It's crazy to me that the Bills Chiefs is not the Sunday night game.
I agree. I mean,
like I don't. The schedulers, it was right there. Like
yeah, you're 100%. They could have easily flipped them, and nobody would have known the difference.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. My y'all must have forgot the Falcons defense. Falcons is a plucky team. Defense is not good. Jimmy G and Brandon Ayuk, I'm going to give you two. I think two guys who have a big week. And now Jimmy G, again, he's a game manager. But all he needs with Debo and Ayuk, it's just a couple of slants, a couple of screen passes, and big gains. I know the running game is always a threat. But I think Jimmy G throws for 3+ touchdowns this week. I think Brandon Ayuk is the recipient of at least one of them. I think Ayuk has a big game. I think they dink and dime their way down the field, but that adds up fantasy-wise for both Ayuk and Jimmy G. I'm on the Niners. I'm on Jimmy G as a streamer quarterback. If you maybe have Goff out there and you're searching for someone, I'm on Jimmy G or Derek Carr. A couple of guys maybe on the lower end of the starting QBs, but who some teams are going to be looking for. I'm on Jimmy G as my top streaming quarterback of the week, and byproduct Ayuk. I feel like we've been waiting for Ayuk for a while, and he's unlike Elijah Moore, who hasn't even come close. Brandon Ayuk had moments where
I'm still twitching from that Monday night game when he burned Jalen Ramsey and Jimmy G just didn't throw him the ball. That's a massive, massive swing for me. So Jimmy G just hates him. He's a Debo guy, and that's why I loved Ayuk so much this year, because I felt like him and Lance would build that rapport, and he would take off. Lance gets hurt, and since then, I mean, you just don't see the targets for Ayuk. But I hope you're right, because I'm a highly invested Ayuk owner.
And Terp, we're going to end it off as always. Play of the week. Who's your guy? You said stay tuned. Is this who we're
This expecting? Is stay tuned. Mr. Chris Godwin is my play of the week. Like you said, pretty much we're playing secondary this week for the Steelers. I love the Mike Evans call. I think he gets there, but I think Godwin has the bigger game. I feel like this is his week where he, breaks out. Tampa Bay has that offensive explosion to put them, right up there, behind Philly, with Philly, whatever you want to call it, as the best team in the NFC. Chris Godwin, play of the week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with and going back to the Steelers-Bucks game as well. Just as someone you won't go. I'm going to go on the other side, and just because it's a guy I feel like he's close, I'm going to go with George Pickens.
George Pickens, baby.
Garbage time is going to
matter. Counts.
It absolutely does. And they're like, look at last game. They're just going to be throwing the ball around. Pickett and Pickens seem to have a little bit of a rapport going. Pickens last week had 6 for 83. That touchdown's coming. He's so talented. The Bucs secondary hasn't been great. I mean, it got a boost last week anytime a team plays the Falcons. But
there's rumors that Sean Murphy Bunting might be out. I don't know if that's confirmed, if that's true. I saw it the other day on Twitter. That would be a big loss for that secondary. Again, we expect Tampa Bay to put up numbers, but garbage points count in fantasy football, so I love that call.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the case. I like Deontay, but Pickens is the most talented receiver
by a good margin.
Yeah,
forget about Chase Claypool too, and Freiermuth being out is also just more targets.
Yeah, that Bucs secondary just hasn't been as good as expected. So I'm on Pickens. I think that breakout is coming, and I think he's going to be a big guy come. He
could win somebody
weeks 15, 16, 17. Yeah, that I think he's going to really assert himself down the stretch. And I don't know, it's just kind of a guy who was kind of that middle round pick. Maybe he was dropped in some leagues after he kind of had that slow start, wasn't being used. But I think that the George Pickens breakout's coming and starts this week. Terp, some quick hitters for you. Let me get our thing up so people say some quick hitters for you. Let's start at the QB position. Who scores more fantasy points this week? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. Bills are going to win that game. I think they put a statement out there too.
I'm gonna go with Mahomes. I think the Chiefs actually, dude. I've been going back and forth all weekend because the stats about like Mahomes coming in as an underdog at home, he just doesn't do well. That game,
that's surprising. I mean, I know the Bills are like the hot. Like I always say, like the Bills, they're the hot team. They're getting all the spreads. They're favored by over everybody. Same thing with the Eagles. Vegas loves the Eagles for whatever reason. They're always a good number favored over pretty much anybody when they're playing well. So it's definitely a good spot. But yeah, I like Josh Allen.
is there any way that game doesn't deliver It's not going to be as good as the playoffs.
There's always a way. I mean, some of these games when they get hyped up, they flop. But I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Terp, running backs. Who's going to score more fantasy points this week? Austin Eckler against the Broncos on Monday night, or Leonard Fournette at the Steelers? Eckler all of a sudden is like RB1, which is crazy because he started off so poorly, but just a couple of big games and you're there. Eckler or Fournette?
I'm going to go with Eckler. I just think that the Tampa Bay game can get out of hand, and you might think that means more Fournette, but I think that might mean more Rachaad White. When they're up a big number, they give Fournette a little bit of rest, so I'm going with Eckler.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride Eckler as well. Terp, Adam Thielen at the Dolphins this week, or your guy Devontae Smith versus Dallas?
Easy question, Devontae Smith.
I'm gonna go with Adam Thielen. I think another guy who I've seen some rumblings about as having maybe a little bit of a breakout week based on just his snap counts, his routes run, his and some of his plays where he's been open. Kirk just missed him, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with Thielen. I got one more for you. Let's go with this one. Tyler Higbee against the Panthers, or Zach Ertz at the Seahawks, who has more fantasy points this week?
I actually like Zach Ertz in that matchup. Seattle defense is not good.
Seattle defense is bad. Marquise Brown. When I go through the research, so many thoughts run through my head. Marquise Brown.
That's an undercover game that could be up and back. I mean, the Cardinals haven't shown anything yet, but I mean, Seattle defense is terrible. If it's not this week, I mean, Kyler Murray is.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying when I was going through this, Marquise Brown, top 5 receiver this week, easily. I think is more like he's projected 10th right now in FFPC.
It'll be shocking if he doesn't get there.
Yeah, that Geno too. I mean, who would have thought the Seahawks would have been such a fun offense, and it wouldn't include guys like Noah Fant that people were hyping up preseason.
Seriously, one bold prediction too. You can cut this. You can put it on Twitter. It could come back and bite me. It's not about the Eagles. The New York Jets go into Lambeau and beat the Green Bay Packers.
We always talk about it on this show. I think it was a couple weeks ago. We said it like we had a long discussion about it because we try and keep it quick. Eagles are the best team in the NFC by a mile, and the Packers, like, what have they shown you? Because I keep on saying, "Oh, well, Packer." No,
I keep hearing about.
It's maybe the Bucs
retire. The receivers aren't. They're not there. Like, how do you lose that game to the Giants? Like, the Giants had the 2 of us playing receiver. Like,
yeah,
they finally gave Darius Slayton a chance. They can't stop Saquon Barkley. Like.
You're not going to like it if the Eagles don't make the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they win it. If they don't make the Super Bowl, it's a failure. There's no reason.
I mean, as of now, I would agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's still so early in the season. Like, you don't want to play Tom Brady in the playoffs. Like, if
because the refs for sure.
Playing the Rams if they get healthy, offensive line improves. I mean, there's nobody else that I really worry about, but I don't see it.
It's a good time in sports right now to be a Philly fan. Terp, thank you as always. We'll wrap it up there. Quick little 13-minute show. We gave you our plays of the week, who to avoid, who we think is going to break out, all of that. As always, that will drop sometime between Thursday and Saturday, or Sunday morning, most weeks. That's going to do it for myself. Terp, thank you as always for listening in to us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Fly